Your wish has been granted.
What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the Champs Table, where I step into the ring with the community and discuss all the news, events, and drama of the Dragon Ball Super card game. Today's guests were my partners in crime at Nats this past weekend, John, aka RabidSquirrel, and Simon, aka Melon. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yo.
Glad to be here.
Now, gentlemen, did you have yourself a great weekend this past?
I did. It was a lot of fun. It was nice meeting everybody. Nice, hanging out with you guys.
It was good to get back to physical competitions as opposed to online events, and yeah, it was a new group of people that I was meeting, and it was just had a blast overall.
Yeah, I could definitely agree. I feel like whenever I see my online friends in person, it's always significantly better. I mean, we all know each other via online, so it's never as awkward as you think it's going to be because, you know this person at such a personal level on a regular basis. But you think meeting them in person for the first time is just like, oh, that's just Brent. That's just John. That's just Simon. You look different than I thought you would. But, unless you've watched my videos. But
if that isn't the trend of the weekend.
Especially with online events of just being, tied into like hands and crotch. That's really it.
I feel like I could identify most of my Dragon Ball friends by their crotches, which is a weird thing to say out loud.
Pause.
The biggest like surprise as far as like people who look different in person than they do online is Biriar. He's a lot shorter and he's a lot rounder. It's not an insult, it's just factual. I thought he would be at least like 5'11", 6 foot, somewhere around there.
Yo.
Crazy.
So how was your guys' travel this past weekend? Did you have a nice, clean arrival to Nats, to Fort Worth?
I'll start. I booked a non-stop flight, so I didn't have to take any layovers. My first flight left at like 6 in the morning on Thursday, and then I got to DFW by like 9, close to 10, somewhere around there. And then I kind of just chilled until you landed.
Yeah, you were there in that airport for quite a while. What about you, Simon?
About the same. Had a non-stop flight. I left closer to 1-ish, flew down, got there around 6-ish. Then the only difference for me was I had to head over to the rental area, and I was staying with some family friends, so I drove a little ways out.
So you saved yourself a lot of money by not even needing a hotel then.
And it's a roughly balancing out because you're renting the car, you're doing tolls, you're having to get gas at the end of the whole trip, but overall, yeah, I saved a decent amount.
True, yeah. And of course, driving in the Dallas-Fort Worth area just sucks in general.
Oh, it was terrible for all the ways you didn't expect.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, explain that. Like, why was it terrible in all the ways I didn't expect? Because I usually expect it to be like shit driving around there.
So, I had heard already that there were going to be some pretty rough drivers, but I'm from a rough driving area, so I wasn't too worried about that. But it was the larger vehicles that were driving crazy. But then it was also just the quality of the roads. I was expecting down south to have really smooth roads, but it was choppy.
Were you driving in like downtown Dallas area, or were you driving like outside? Like
I was driving
exactly
outside. I was staying in kind of the suburbs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you'd think it'd be better out there, because when I drove around in Dallas, most of the time it's been in downtown Dallas, the downtown Fort Worth area. Dallas specifically sucks even worse. Fort Worth, in the Ubers we took, wasn't that bad, but Dallas itself is astronomically bad. As in, like, all the highways are under construction. They have 2-lane roads. People are flying 70 miles an hour down these 2-lane under construction roads, coming to like point blank stops, and you think you're gonna die. So
yeah, no, that's the spot on experience. And I was gonna say, I don't think a lot of people who would have stayed closer to the city would have understood just every single one of those highways is under construction. So it's lane closers, the lanes are broken up, it's terrible.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking awful. But luckily, John and I were literally right across the venue. But let's go into the first part of...
It felt great.
It was really fantastic. The first part that I want to get into about my travel experience, it was, for a roundabout way, pretty dog shit. I think I had experienced some of the dumbest, delays and flight paths I've ever experienced. But like it really kind of started the night before I left for Nats. So for those who don't know, recently, and I mean recently within like the last couple of years in government time, which is not very long, apparently there is this thing called Real ID, which is where it's like a super, even more secure version of your driver's license that proves that you are you even more so than just having your driver's license proves, because I guess fake IDs are a thing, which they are. But apparently you need these as of March of this past year, so 2025, so like well over...
I think it was May.
Yeah. Was it May?
Regardless.
May or March? Regardless, several months ago, like that was the deadline to get Real ID. Well, I never heard of this. Like, I don't watch the news. I don't hardly fly. I usually drive to the events I go to, because usually the ones I go to are in Texas. And Texas for me is about a 5-hour drive, depending on how deep we're going into Texas. And it's usually not that bad of a drive, but I got so sick and tired of driving to Texas, and I had a flight voucher that I decided to fly down. That being said, I learned about this while getting my hair cut from my barber, because she was cutting my hair, and I was telling her what I was getting ready to go do, and then she happened to bring up, "Do you have that Real ID thing?" Or I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Yeah, there's like this star you're supposed to have on your ID, otherwise you can't fly domestically." And I was like, "I have never heard of that." So I went into like full panic mode like after I left. Like I enjoyed my haircut, because getting my haircut is like one of my favorite things ever. It's like one of my weird guilty pleasures, because my favorite, whatever. We're not gonna get into that part. But so as soon as I got home, I went straight to my girlfriend. I was like, "Have you ever heard of Real ID?" And she looked at me like I was insane, because of course she's heard of it, because she travels a lot more than me. She's flown all over this damn country. She's been to South Korea, so she knew about it. This man here did not know about it. So we live.
Now you do.
Yeah, I do, and now I have to get that fixed. But obviously it worked out because everybody saw me at Nats. But so we live 10 minutes away from the airport. So I was able to, like, less than 10 minutes. Like, if it's like no traffic, you can get there in 5. And like when I got home, it was like 8 p.m. So it was like this weird, perfect, like, like timing of flights where there's not a lot of people there. So I literally walked straight up to where my airline check-in would be, and I said, "Hey, what do I have to do? Because I don't have Real ID." And of course, every like airline person looked at me like I was crazy, like everybody else has. I've told about this weekend. How have you not heard about this? They've only been talking about it since like 2020. It's like, well, the last time I got my driver's license updated was in April 2020. And I haven't had cable, and I haven't paid attention to the news since like 2017, because it depresses the shit out of me. But regardless of which, I said, "So what can I do?" And so the lady, she was super helpful, but I think she was still pretty confused on how I never heard of Real ID. She told me to bring my social security card, and also bring like an extra identification, like whether it be like something with my picture on it, to prove that I am myself even more so, and to like come to the airport really early in case TSA wanted to pull me aside and do further screening, because like as the years go by, I think in February of this coming year, 2026, is when they're going to start getting really strict on it. So I luckily hit like this weird sweet spot to where like you could still get into the flight without having Real ID, but you could get harassed basically by TSA. And so me and my girlfriend turn around and we go home, and we literally turn this apartment upside down trying to find my social security card, because I hadn't seen it since like we moved into this apartment complex. I knew I had it in here, but I could not find it anywhere. And what had happened is she is the MVP because she found my social security card, but she found it by doing that thing that only happens when a woman tells a man where exactly this item is located, and the guy looks everywhere in the vicinity of that location and somehow can't find it, and then you go tell your wife or girlfriend or significant other it's not there, and they walk right in there and find it, and they look at you like you're an idiot. I'm like, well, I literally, and she's like, it was right there. I was like, I literally turned that entire door inside out. How did you find it? It was just right there.
A couple of those moments.
It's infuriating because it's like because it was so obviously right there because it was there, but you know it wasn't there because you looked everywhere.
Your brain just like prevents you from seeing like the spot that it's in.
Exactly. It's like, and it's like, yeah, it was just laying in there. So, and the funny thing is it was even easier for her to find because I do the nerdiest thing in the world with my like insurance cards and my social security number. I keep all of those cards because in a sleeve and top loader. So like I'll keep it in like a drawer or something important. I'm gonna put it in like an accordion case, so like I definitely know where it is. But
could you imagine just like having a TCG player order and just sending someone your identity?
Oh God!
I see you and I raise you. Please get it graded.
Let me get my social security graded. Like all of PSA knows exactly. Like,
well, I know my social security will not make any sort of a 10 because that thing is tattered.
Oh my God! Because can the U.S. government like come up with some better card stock for the social security cards? Because those things are made of tissue paper.
That would be convenient and require spending money, obviously.
Well, they just saved a bunch of money by deleting pennies.
Good point. All right, cool. Everybody, we're getting them printed on SCR.
Laminated social security cards.
Can we get them foil?
Yo, imagine SCR social security number cards. I would pay a premium for that.
I would like to have the Magnificent collection, or like, no, sorry, not the Magnificent, the theme history with like Dormant and all that stuff, like that foiling. Just give
the sparkle
old,
foiling,
like a Hobby League foiling.
Ooh, that would be nice. Yeah. So, the actual flight itself was where it even got even more stupid. So, to start off, like I took United Airlines, and of course, most people think, well, this is your fault for picking United Airlines, but originally I had bought this flight for LA when Nationals last year was for LA, and then LA caught on fire and got canceled. And so I happened to have, I believe I bought insurance for it. I think this is the only reason why I got some kind of refund for it, because United Airlines gave me a voucher to use to like for the full price of the ticket, to be able to use it at a later date. And they gave me to December 12th or December 17th of this year to use it. So from January to basically now. And I kept putting off using it because the only events that like I considered really going to, or I could go to due to like money and timing, were ones in Texas. And it didn't feel smart because, you know, it's so basically because United Airlines does not have a direct flight to Dallas Fort Worth at all. It doesn't make any sense. You have two different options of flying. You can go from Wichita, which is where I live, to Houston, which is further south than Dallas, then to Dallas, or you can go from Wichita to Denver, Colorado, and then back down to Dallas Fort Worth. So it's like the most out of the way flight paths possible. And so obviously I took the one down to Houston because that's going to be significantly faster. I believe so anyway. I think like, though, if I went the Denver route, I would have been on the plane for at least like 6 hours total flying. And I had like a 5-hour total travel time going to Houston and then to Dallas, only because there was always an hour like connection between the flights from Wichita to Houston to Dallas. So it added on an extra hour of travel time, which is, you know, whatever, you know, I could deal with it, you know, because I'm not driving, and effectively the flight was technically already paid for, so I didn't have to spend any real extra money that I didn't have to on this flight. And I didn't want to lose the $500 I spent originally to try to fly to LA. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to fly. It makes no sense because everybody I told was like, why did you fly that? Well, because that's why. It was basically free.
Yeah, it's so crazy that they make you go to Houston and come back to DFW.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. And it gets even weirder because so when we originally started our flight from Wichita to Houston, they had said that there could be like some little bit of a delay in the flight. Again, first delay from the rip of about like 20-ish minutes because they were having some like inclement weather or some kind of thing, because I guess it was like kind of rainy and cloudy in Houston, and that they said if they had to, they would divert to Dallas. And I was like, please just divert to Dallas so I can get there in an hour and a half and then, you know, move on with my life. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So we made it all the way to Dallas, or to Houston from Wichita, and relatively simple time. It means short delay. And then the flight from Houston to Dallas Fort Worth was delayed for over an hour because the in-flight quote-unquote entertainment system wouldn't reboot properly. And so they had to sign paperwork that they were just going to fly without it. And the problem was obviously because of the delay, but they didn't tell us what was going on for like a solid half hour before they paged everybody and said, hey guys, we can't get our entertainment system to work. So we apologize for the delay. We're just waiting on paperwork and then we'll get going. And then me, who's only flown one time in his life besides this, was like, oh, okay, this should be no problem. You know, dude shows up with paperwork, they sign it, they move. No, it took another fucking 30 minutes before we started even to begin moving. And I kept doing this thing where I thought, oh, okay, you know, we're going to start moving soon, because they would page us saying, hey, sorry for the delay, we'll get moving soon, like every 15 minutes or so. And so what I would do is I would be fucking around on my phone, because what else am I going to do? And then they would say that, and then I'd turn my phone to airplane mode, because like, okay, we're getting ready to go. I'm not going to be that dude who doesn't, you know, turn his phone not onto airplane mode and fuck everything up somehow. I still don't know how that works, but I believe them when they say you're supposed to turn it off or turn it on. But every time, like, I think we're going to get started moving, like, we just don't. And so I was like, well, now I'm going to go talk to everybody in chat and bitch about being delayed again. But so finally we get going, and then I was sat next to this guy who just did not turn his airplane mode off, and he was like getting phone calls, like business phone calls, I think, because I happened to get, like, I wasn't trying to peek his phone, but I saw him like text whoever called him, and it looked like a business call. Oh, fuck that guy too, because he stole my fucking seat. I had a window seat, and then he boarded before me, and he sat in my seat, and he had the aisle seat. Luckily, there was nobody in the middle, so it wasn't a completely full row, so I wasn't that pissed off, but I just like to look out the window. But it was just like, could you not read that you were supposed to be in this spot and I'm supposed to be there? But in the end, I kind of like didn't mind it too much, because I was in the aisle and I had plenty of leg room, and I was right next to the bathroom. So it worked out, but it's just mildly annoying that people do that. They just sit wherever, basically, because the way I think,
bathroom.
Basically, shout out to the bathroom. Have any of you guys ever taken a shit on an airplane?
Nope, because all of my flights have been like 2 hours, maybe excluding this one being 4, but never needed to.
Yes, but basically only when I'm flying international. Because at that point, it's like, I've been here for 17 hours, and I've eaten nothing but fiber. Please.
So
it has to be the most uncomfortable experience, because
it is.
Just standing in those bathrooms to pee, I felt like I had to like shrink my shoulders in to not touch the wall. So I couldn't imagine taking a full-blown shit in an airplane bathroom.
Imagine trying to cram yourself into a deck box. That's a lot of what it's like trying to fold yourself down. You guys met me. I'm not small, but also like I'm not huge, and it's still like
It's
okay.
like that thing where you put like your liter in a snap case, and then you try to cram it in a deck box that it's just slightly too big for.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
What a great analogy.
So the real kicker of this flight from Houston to DFW was that I was on the plane just waiting for like an hour to an hour and a half of like both delays and then the taxiing process for a total flight time of 26 minutes of actual flying. So I was just like, dog, I have been in this plane way longer than I need to be.
I just need to ask the follow-up question. Were you at some point considering just leaving and getting a rental to cross the last little distance?
You know, it did cross my mind. Because at one point I was sitting there thinking like, bro, because I think the only reason why I truly didn't consider that was I probably didn't have enough money to like get a full ass rental,
Yeah.
but B, I didn't know the actual like drive time between Dallas to Houston. I think someone had
It's
told
like
me
3.5 hours.
Yeah, so would I think I still got there faster if I hadn't drove, but it was a consideration at one point. It's like, fuck this plane, I'll just drive.
It's such a... Would you rather sit in traffic on the highway for 20 minutes, or would you rather get off the highway and go around for the same amount of time? But you feel like you're moving.
Yeah. And poor John was waiting for me this entire time. Like, he got to the airport, I think he said at like 9 a.m.
It was just about 10.
And my first plane from Wichita to Houston left when he arrived at DFW. So he flew for 4 hours and then waited in the airport for me for like a total of 5 hours. So he was in total.
It was a long day.
It was a very long day. He spent like 9 hours of his life doing flying things, whether it be actually being in the airport or being on a plane and then waiting for my bitch ass.
I mean, like at that point, we're both going to the same hotel, so it's not like beneficial to be like, hey man, I'm gonna go to the hotel, like meet you there when I can't even check in yet.
Right. Plus, I mean, what else were you gonna do? Like you said, like, I mean, it's not like we could have got like the venue wasn't even open on Thursday, so we couldn't, go hang out at the venue or anything like that. And really, I didn't even realize it until we left the airport to go to the hotel that it was like a 30-minute drive from the airport. I thought she was taking us somewhere different.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's like
There are a good chunk of like the same hotel in that area.
There's like 6 Fairfields.
To be fair, it was also like a 30-minute drive to get from my terminal to the rental place, just within the airport.
Yeah,
That airport's
large.
huge.
And the construction that they're doing probably makes it a lot worse.
Probably.
Absolutely. And like, I'm used to like everywhere being 20 minutes away, like in Wichita. Like, you could drive from one end of the town to the other to like, whether in any direction, to get to the opposite side of Wichita, and it takes like, depending on traffic, 20 to 30 minutes total. The Dallas area, that takes like an hour and a half to do, so like just based off traffic. So I'm sitting here just losing my mind sitting in cars, and granted, I'm not the one driving, so I don't pay attention too much, but people's driving gives me a lot of anxiety sometimes, so I'm trying to pay attention to what they're doing, even though like there's nothing I can do about it. So, me and John, we arrived at the hotel. We stayed at the Fairfield Marriott. I think that's what we were at. It was like right across the street.
Something like that. Fairfield Inn, I think. Anyways,
yeah,
owned
I think so.
by Marriott.
And, we think everything is fine and dandy. We're seeing everybody. We were getting some food. I think we went to like a Poochie pasta pizza. What?
Yeah.
And it was pretty all right. We had the slices what they did is like it wasn't like old, but you could tell it had been sitting there for a while, so they throw it into the oven to reheat it up. If you eat it like that, it wasn't too bad. It was like a 6.5 out of 10. But we did eventually have it again the day after, and we got like a whole fresh pie, which was significantly better. So recommend you do that. But the real bitch of the system is like after we got our games with practicing some masters, we met up with Wordna, aka Andrew, saw some the Masters boys who happened to be in the same hotel, and me and John went back to the hotel room, and we were trying to shower, and we had no hot water whatsoever.
we get to the room. Brent goes to take a shower, and then I hear the water run, and then I hear it stop, and then he just like peeks his head out the door. And he's like, "Hey, am I going crazy, or is there just not hot water here?" So I'm like, "Let me check," and then sure enough, it's all just freezing cold water. So I call down to the room service and or front desk and like explain it, and then she tells me like, "Oh, sometimes you have to like turn the sink on hot and then turn the shower on, and it should like kickstart it." And I'm like, there should be no reason for that. So then I like try it for a bit, and it still really wasn't working, and it kind of just ended up being like a very lukewarm to still kind of cold. So they told me they'd comp me for the night, and then to have like a technician come out or repair guy fix it, and then if not, move us to a different room. So the next morning, we went and did our thing, played the event, and then when I came back, I asked about it, and the receptionist like, was a different lady working, and then she's like, "Oh, I don't see anything listed, but you can try, you can try it, and then see how it goes." So I try it, and it's still kind of the same. So then she's like, "Well, we're completely booked for the night, so I'll make a mark. I come talk to the assistant manager, and then get it all sorted out." So long story short, like end of the time, talked to the manager, got comped for the room for a couple nights. Sadly, because it's through like a third party, they couldn't directly refund me, but they gave me a comparable amount for like a next stay. So all in all, it wasn't terrible. I still did get to take somewhat of a warm shower, so like I was okay with it.
Yeah, I think night 2 after the event, like we were able, like you said, we were able to get it to work somewhat, and it wasn't like the coldest shower. So it was like it kind of reminded me of like when you're taking a really hot shower, and then you could start to feel the hot water run out.
Yeah.
And so you're like, "Oh shit, I gotta hurry up and get out of here before it gets cold." It was like that kind of temperature for me. Really, it was slightly above lukewarm. And it was like the epitome of that situation where you go to your friend's house for the first time, and everybody's shower works completely different no matter where you go. And I just was not prepared to have John tell me, "Yeah, we got to try turning on the sink first."
Just like jerry rig your shower.
It's like, I didn't expect to MacGyver some weird ghetto way of getting hot water.
So that's actually more of a common solution than you think.
I've never heard of that before.
I've heard of it a couple times.
So before we get into the actual tournament runs, because I know that's what everybody listening is here for, let's go ahead and just kind of conclude the travel portion. So how did your guys' like travel back home go?
Also kind of fine. I mean, once we departed ways, I mean, my flight kind of was like another hour that I waited. My terminal switched a lot while we were like, going through it, but then we got on, they were just kind of waiting for like some last minute people, and then we took off, and my flight back was like 2 hours because of the time zone difference. So I was just watching Dragon Ball films on the flight. I was watching Triamite on the way home, so that was a good time. Didn't finish it, but we're almost done with it.
What does that movie rate on a scale of 1 to 10? Like, you've seen it before.
It's been so long since I've watched it. Certain parts of it, I'd probably give it like a 7.5 maybe, in terms of like content, just for like the time frame too.
What about you, Simon? How was your travel back home?
Honestly, it was nothing to write home about. It was just kind of go to the airport, drop the rental off. I got food in the terminal just because I was starving. Fly home, grab my... The only like weird catch was I was on completely full flights because I'm flying in and out of Boston. And just... I had to check my carry-on both times, which is fine. So it's, okay, cool, pick up my luggage, get picked up by... My dad picked me up, we just drove home. And I came home and I crashed. Then on the plane, I ran out of things to do, and I had saved all of the reveals, so I just started working on the spreadsheet that I keep updated for reveals, just because I had nothing else to do.
So other than, I feel like it's just me who got really fucked over by the plane rides.
Yeah, because we didn't have like a comp, like comp is. We didn't have a hoops jump
connecting
through.
flights and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, like the only person I know who's really going through it worse than me is brother Kush, who currently, as of recording, is stuck in Dallas Fort Worth right now because of delays and technical issues.
Mind you all, for unrelated reasons to Nats, by the way.
Yeah, he could not go to Nats. He had to go do work because he serves in the United States Air Force. And so they fly him all over this country to go do random shit at different bases or something. He explained it once and I couldn't follow. But last we heard, he is stuck in Dallas Fort Worth for unrelated reasons other than bullshit planes doing bullshit things. So shouts out to him. But other than that, I had some more bullshit on the way home. So about while we're waiting to order the Uber, I think it was maybe an hour or two before we actually called the Uber to go to the airport, I get a text notification from United that my flight home was delayed by an hour and 20 minutes because apparently there was a technical issue that for the plane coming from Wichita to Houston, so they had to find a new plane in the meantime. So it was great that they gave us such a huge hey, heads up. But when I first read it, I thought they were saying that the flight from Dallas to Houston was delayed by an hour and 30 minutes. So I thought, oh man, so maybe I could actually just chill, whatever, chill a little bit longer in the convention center and see everybody, even though I was kind of really taxed out and ready to go. And I didn't have to be in a hurry too much because we wanted to get there early because of the real ID shit, which I forgot to mention. As crazy as I was worried about the real ID situation with my driver's license, both sides of the coin when I was leaving Wichita to come to Dallas and leaving Dallas to go back to Wichita, none of the TSA agents really gave a fuck. They just took my ID and said, yeah, you want to get this updated, but go ahead. I had brought in my every bit of extra identification that I could, and I came there 2 hours early because the check-in lady was oh, they might want to pull you over for questioning. You do that thing where you Google what's going to happen. And they're oh, they could pull you to the side and start questioning you to make sure you are who you say you are. I'm well, I mean, I have no problem with answering questions, but holy hell, just to get on a flight to go play card games with my buddies, which is worth it. But I feel if I hadn't left early to go to the airport, I feel I for sure would have been pulled over to get screened and all that and potentially miss my flight because of it. So, me and John, we went to the airport fairly early for that reason, and we sat in the airport for 2 extra hours than we had to. But so I get on my flight finally after being told that the second connecting flight was going to be delayed by an hour and a half. And so I get on and we start to move it felt oh shit, this is going to go pretty smooth. But everybody gets on, we're going to take off, and we start taxiing off the plane. And it's we're just driving around in the airplane parking lot is what I'll call it. All the different runways and taxiways. And then suddenly we just pull over off to the side and get told that we had another 30-minute delay because air traffic in Houston got too crazy basically, and they had to wait for it to clear up. And I was oh great, gonna be stuck here even longer. So it kind of helped though because it made that connecting flight a little bit more tolerable because I had enough time to get to my next gate, as well as enough time to grab some food and wait and get picked up to go back to Wichita. Which once I landed in Houston, I stopped and grabbed some Panda Express finally because every time we were at the airport it sounded good, except for the fact that Panda Express let me down. They ran out of rice and all they had was chow mein, and I do not like chow mein, but I tried to force it down anyway. It did not work, but I had the orange chicken. It was fine either way.
There's two things. What do you mean they ran out of rice? And two, what do you mean you don't like lo mein?
They did not have fried rice. They did not have white rice. And all they had was literally chow mein, and I don't know what it is about chow mein. I just don't like it. I think it has cabbage in it or something. I don't know. There's something about the way they make it. It didn't taste good. It wasn't the worst thing I ever ate. I just would prefer not to eat it again.
think what's funny is that after all the delays, we still kind of made it home at the same time.
Yeah. You had like the further flight overall, and you left like an hour and a half, roughly 2 hours after me, and yet we still made it home at the same time.
It's because like from where the airport is to my house is like a 45-minute drive.
Yeah. Like realistically, with all that bullshit, you probably technically made it home like far before me.
Oh yeah, like 45 minutes, and then like the moment I landed, it was all snow again, and I wasn't ready for it.
Oh, I missed it.
So I ended up getting home like my time about midnight, a little before, a little after, I can't really remember. And so on the flight, or on like the waiting for my flights, I actually texted my boss like, yo, I'm stuck in the airports. And because I originally hadn't planned to take Monday off when I took time off, and I did but I also wasn't expecting to be stuck in airports till almost midnight. So I just, hey, I know I didn't like ahead of time put PTO for this, but would you mind? And so shouts out to my boss for letting me take Monday off, because I did not want to try to like go home, wind down, and go to sleep at midnight, even though it didn't take me super long to fall asleep because I was pretty damn tired. But I wasn't trying to like get up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. to be at work at 6 a.m. the next morning. It just wasn't going to happen. But with that being said, we made it home safe and sound. I never had so many weird like travel problems in my life. Would I fly there again? Probably, but with a different airline for sure.
Hopefully one that does a non-stop flight.
Yeah, that's the thing. There was a ton of them that I could have taken, but because my voucher was through United, I had to take it through United. But it just so happened to be the one that didn't have a direct flight somehow from Wichita to Dallas-Fort Worth.
Crazy.
With that being said, let us get into the meat and potatoes of this tournament recap of NA Finals, our tournament run. So who wants to go first?
Don't all jump at once.
Yeah, don't jump out all at once. Fine.
Yeah, I say whoever wants to start, I can if you want me to.
I have
Go
the
ahead,
worst notes.
Simon.
I can go.
Say get it kind of done easy. So I played Arinsu for the event. I ended up going 5-3. I took 46th place. I think I talked about it in the video as well. As far as my matchups go, I played a pretty good spread. The only deck that I really played more than once was Saiyaman and Kefla Surge. My first round, I played against Prison Planet Cooler. My opponent, I think he said that he really only played this. I think he came from Fusion World, if I recall that correctly. But he saw that Masters was like such a fun game, so he's like he really wanted to give it a go, which is really cool to hear. He flooded me out pretty early. I was able to kind of like mount a playback with Beast Gohan. I made a misplay early on. I attacked with a Rinsu, and he blocked with Majin Zoto, and it has Revenge, and I just wasn't paying attention to it. So he told me, he's like, yeah, it's got Revenge, it dies, and I was like, oh. So I think that was one part where I think I misstepped in the game, and then I just couldn't defend one of his last attacks and ended up losing. But it was super close. Beast got me close enough, but not enough to win the game. Round 2, I played against, the People's Champ, of course. We got paired up. Round 2, it was, always fun.
Of course.
We both kind of took it as a fun game in a sense, more than too serious, and kind of just did the memes. He hit me with the Broly after I think I played Gamma, or not Gamma, sorry. I think I played...
I think you played East Kai.
East Kai or Dark Mass Saiyan, one of those.
Yeah.
And then he hit me with the Broly, and then I hit him back with the Broly, and then I hit him back with the Broly again, and I kind of just dwindled the hand down and won out from there. So sorry, my boy.
Yeah, no, it was a good game. I don't think necessarily it was a total blowout. I think it could have gone either way, but eventually you just knew how to play better than I did in that matchup, because we'll get into my run, but I didn't have the right amount of practice with my deck. So I just for as little experience as I had, it was a better game than I thought it was going to be.
Agreed. Round 3, I played against Kefla Surge, against Daniel on DMG. I ended up getting him down to 1, and then I beast on for game. He ended up having to D-magic, taking the life, and he's like, "You got beast," and then I just showed it. Very fun game. I feel bad for him. He whiffed on I think like 3 searches. One on I think 2 on an on-play search, and then 1 on like a top 7 search. So didn't really have the greatest time in that game. My 4th round was against Rinsu, the mirror match, and this is the game that I made I think the biggest misplay on, and then the moment I did it, I knew it cost me the game. I was able to kind of like, I don't know, keep myself in it, but I was low in advantage, and I probably should have just like given up then and there, gotten some sort of food or a drink or something. But my opponent's, I didn't get his actual name, but his TCG name was Crash. I misplayed on I thought I had a Majin Do in drop when I went to play Goma, so I could do a redirect. And I didn't combo it off, or I think I returned it to hand for something for like one of the 6 costs, and there just wasn't one there. So when I played Goma, the only target was Marva, and I'm like, well, this doesn't help me, so it went back and forth. He did kind of congratulate me on a play for when he swung with an oob. I was able to kind of set it up in a way to redirect it in revenge. But after all, he just had too much of a commanding lead, so he played it much better than I did. Round 5, I played against Stefan. Great guy. Honestly, throughout the weekend, great fits too. He was playing Saiyaman, and he made a play to attack with the 5-cost Gohan. I played the CR and activated Revenge, and then we kind of had a small judge ask about like Revenge's auto on when it activates and if it can be negated, and come to find out that he could not negate the skill and get rid of it, so he lost his card, and then I just kind of took advantage from that point. And round 6 was against the second Kefla Surge, Will Bean, I think also on DMG. It was very back and forth, probably one of the best games I played during this tournament run. Each thing was just kind of he did a move, like I did a move, and then it kind of came down to like I was wondering when I could beast him, and I guess he was thought he could beast me on a turn prior to, and he just chose not to because he didn't want to put himself in a position where he might lose. And I ended up swinging with a Goma Goku CR for double strike to bring him from 3 to 1, and I went up to 70, and the highest he could get I think was 65, so he was about 5k short, and then I was able to beast for game. Say round 7 was against Colt 45, Colton. On Saiyaman, I couldn't find a way to play Beast Han in a turn, and then he was able to, so I tried to close it out, but I couldn't get there, and then on his turn he played Gogeta Secret for 10, got 10 markers, and I almost got out of it, but I don't think there was a way that I really survived it, so it was a really close game, good match. And then round 8 was against Warp Jita, Alex Torres, and then it was another Beast Han game. In a sense, got him to 1. I was able to beast Han him. It was very back and forth. I think I just pressured him enough, and it was kind of a removing his cards. When he played the 4-drop Goku, he swung with it, and I was able to bring out like a Do for Revenge, and then kind of take some advantage from that. And that was really it. I ended up getting 46, and none of my games really felt too one-sided. I had great opponents. Everyone was very nice, and it was a great run.
So overall, you think you did pretty well this tournament then?
I think I did. I think if I spend more time on recognizing like those play lines and those mistakes and trying to not fall for them, or maybe not playing a little too fast in my head, that I might be able to do a little bit better. And every single opponent that I played, I believe, activated the Koitsukai and in some manner. And only one of them that I actually lose cards to, but it was like preventing like the final swing or something. So having to deal with that all weekend was probably not great playing Zarinsu, because that it is a killer. But all in all, it was a very, very fun time.
Simon, how did your run go?
So I want to kind of preface a lot of this run by saying I went in prepared for Rainbow Gogeta. I went in prepared for Zamasu Mill. And to a lesser extent, I went in prepared for Rinsu. And I saw exactly 0 of any of those. So a lot of that prep time and a lot of that deck and size space kind of ended up wasted. But it worked out very poorly for me. I ended up 3-5, as we'll see, and it didn't start well. So round 1, I opened up into DeCoste on Kefla Search, who would end up taking second in Swiss, which was a great way to start. I do have a history of playing into usually somebody who's going to be in that top 4 in my first round of Swiss. Take it. We just go with it. Whatever. I started pushing him too early, too fast, because I was given the advice of, hey, if you see Kefla, just try to punch it, because if they get to that 3 life range, they're going to Gogeta you, they're going to 17 you. Sure enough, I pushed them down. I think I got him down to 1. He just had the right D-Magic in hand. And just ended up exactly that. It was Gogeta to 17, back to back, and there's just kind of only so much you can do about that, but we definitely played into it, and good player, he played perfectly into me, so I can only be so mad. Round 2 was a BT18 Shroom and Salsa. Like I said earlier, I didn't take the greatest notes, so I don't remember 100% what actually happened here, other than just we were just both poking at each other. I didn't see all the floodgates I needed, so I ended up taking more hits than I wanted to. Cumber coming down kind of pushes things to a point where you don't really want to, and then additionally, I think the turn going into the final, I overextended just trying to push damage and go for game. That left me in a situation where I wasn't able to floodgate or negate as well as I wanted to, and then just ultimately forgetting that the Z leader there has double strike. Wouldn't have mattered a ton, because I'm pretty sure the only negate I had in hand was going to be one of the ones that would have made it so that I would have had to take a life and face a single strike coming off of Evil Saiyan, so there's only so much you could do there either, but honestly I didn't play that particularly well. Round 3, I've lost to Gohonks. Absolutely terrible matchup into Gohonks. I've never beaten that deck in my life. And when your turn 2 is getting an SCR crit from your life off of a double crit, those demons kind of swarm in your head where it's just, oh, you're going to lose to it again, you're going to have to face this, and that final turn you don't have a dormant in your hand because they blew up your unison, or you don't have Uneasing Awakened Rage to take advantage of a 5-card hand, and now they have whatever, Vegito, Xeno down on board, and they have the Trunks 8 drop, and all I have in my hand is Homicidal Clones. You do what you can. You try to combo out as much as you can from the board so you can save clones for SCR, and just even then it wasn't enough. Round 4, another deck that I thought I would actually have a pretty good matchup into, and historically I have, was Tenshinhan. Honestly, I played this about as well as I could have, but I did not see any dormants, and I only saw one of my BMS outside of one, and my only misplay was I BMS'd on a turn that I also dormanted, and so I kind of wasted both of them, especially when their next move was play Solidarity, kill it. So I didn't have a ton of flexibility to keep their tokens clear, I didn't have a ton of ways to keep their board clear on their turn. And that is truly the way you beat or lose to Tien, is just, can you keep tokens clear, can you keep them from comboing into killing? and then just kind of ended with I was holding up Unison for Dormant, I was holding up an energy for Uneasing, and he slammed down Purunga to tap my last energy and slammed the Trunks 6-drop promo to wipe my Unison off the board. And from there, it was just a matter of swinging double strike into me, and I didn't have the combo power to get out of it. Round 5 was when we started to turn things around. I played into, I believe, one of your local guys, Brent, Gears of Halo on Hatch.
Yes.
Hatch is such a bad matchup for Nameku, in the form of it's a bad matchup for them. Because I am just going to be playing 8-drops for past turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally just kind of stomps through. They only have so many negates. Black, as much as I want Black to get a Floodgate, I know Hatch needs it the most to get its win con on, but ultimately, you just start picking away at their hand. They don't draw a ton. You start picking away at their Unison that they're trying to use to draw. You're picking away at their negates because they will run out of negates. And there's only so much that they can do into my 8-drop wall.
Mm-hmm.
Round 6, I played Panzino, which there is very few decks this format that I've actually tested against more, just by nature of one of my best friends plays Panzino, so I'm so used to playing into it. It was Stizza, who actually watches the podcast, and we met them. They were big fans, good guys. Good group of guys, but I kind of just sat there using Turning Cheers into Strength to keep him off his Z-Battle card. So he really couldn't get anything established. I kept his Z-Innocence clear, kept his Z-Energy clear. I think the only thing he really was able to do was establish an Evil Saiyan, and at which point it was kind of a matter of waiting for me to... I think the last turn, I was just trying to get one swing through so I could either activate Battle on You Fool to restand Ground Shaking Fury, or to combo something to get the trigger on Turning Cheers into Strength, just to get that last life, and eventually it went through. But good game there. I was finally starting to see an uptick. And then in round 7, I got a bye, which, if you're having a rough tournament, a late bye can be just the piece that just brings your mental state back into it. Now granted, round 7 is usually where a tournament would be over, and we were kind of hoping that it would be over there, but we did have our 8th round, and my 8th round was Big Iron Broly. That is a tough matchup to break for Nameku, because we can't really deal with the indestructible blocker, and the one thing that I have, the first one I had got Mutaito'd, and the second one cleared one, and they immediately had another one. So you're not able to get a lot of swings through. We're not, as Nameku, we're very energy hungry, which is unfortunate, but for the most part it's just getting over that wall, trying to keep anything you can clear, but eventually they'll start overwhelming you. But that was my tournament. Honestly, I can't be too upset with a lot of how I played. I definitely was built to take down matches I didn't see, but all in all, the only thing I really lost to was my own draw power, so lesson learned for next year, just believe in the heart of the cards a little bit more.
And probably don't specifically target your build to just 2 or 3 decks.
That's 4 cards out of my sideboard that all did good into other matchups, and 2 cards in my main deck. I think it was only 1 card that I didn't actually use into anything. It was definitely tech for one thing, but...
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see a breakdown of all the decks that were in the event.
Yeah.
Out of 206 participants, what was the percentage of everything? So I hope, I don't know if maybe Lookout or Chino will have that information, or be able to get that information, or if maybe Bandai will surprise us and give it to us.
Yeah, I think Chino will be most likely the one to get a hold of it, but yeah, we'll probably see a stats for that here pretty soon. Usually takes a couple of days to get that information out.
Yo.
Yeah.
There was one Rainbow Gogeta.
One. Well, no, I seen at least 2.
There was
2.
I think there was 3. There was a couple.
Like I had seen it at tables next to me at least 3 times, but it may have been like the same dude twice and then one other guy, but I know it was out there.
Oh, and the
With that being
absolute
said,
sorry, well, my last thing, the absolute takeaway from this event is I should have just played Zamasu Mill.
clearly it won.
Yeah, clearly. That could have been me,
Uh,
guys.
Talk about like the most unexpected W of the tournament, to be perfectly honest.
True.
Like, if you would have told me last year about this time when I started playing Masters again that Zamasu Mill would win World or win Nationals, I would have just told you you're full of shit. Because
There ain't no way that gets through red until it
Yeah, it's
dodges
like-
all its red matchups.
yeah, it just dodges all the red matchups. Like Red got Team Red killed itself in top 16, and then the finals was between. Like, it was basically going to be set between that Zamasu Mill player, shouts out to AJ, or it was going to be against Petrillo playing Kefla, or Nick playing Panzino. Like, I necessarily didn't care who was in the tops because I liked all the people who were playing. However, like, there was a part of me that was, like, wanting to see history made where, like, a non-blue or yellow leader in some fashion, like, not win this time
you
around.
got your wish. It just it was a deck with an alternate win con.
Exactly. Like it's like it hurts because I hate that deck. Weirdly enough, like I can't explain it to people in a way that makes sense because everybody was like, "Well, you like Mill, so why do you hate Zamasu Mill so much?" And really what it breaks down to is because it's green, and historically green has been a hand control color. And most of my Mill experience, whenever I played against a green deck, it was my worst nightmare. So to see my most hated color
It's like
in
shell
both my
shock.
it's just like that does not make sense to me. I don't want to touch it, even though I probably a long time ago should have said fuck it and run it because it's the best Mill deck. I mean, I'll say it now. I'll admit it. It is the best Mill deck statistically, and I hate to say it. You know, it is what it is.
Gotta give credit where credit's due.
Credit to where credit is due.
So are we all running Zamasu Mill at the next regional?
Oh, hell no. So let's get into the Champs tournament run. It is the most epic run of all time. It is.
He went 8-0 and won.
Like, I actually won the event and nobody knew it. So I went 2-6. So to start off, I played Gammas. I did this thing that I do every time. Like, I have said this on every podcast report, that every event that I've played in, and every kind of like tournament report, I have said this same quote. I did the stupid thing where I practiced with another deck and then got talked myself into playing a completely different deck last second and
The
did
pivot.
terribly with it. Like the hard pivot. This time though, I pivoted twice. Like, originally, I was really working on Yellow Cell to take to Nats. I mean, most people know that Yellow Cell isn't necessarily the best deck in the format for sure, but it is for my money a pretty good deck. The real problem that people would tell me about when I first started getting it together is that it couldn't like finish games. And so when I was putting together Yellow Cell, I was trying to figure out a way for it to finish games, and for the most part, I think I figured it out. But what I learned playing the deck was that once you got your big bombs out, like your 8-drop Cell, or really just any of them, they don't have any protection. And so you get, your Evolves out, and you think you're building a board out, and none of them like have any protection, and you put all that effort in, and you just lose it to something that KOs it or warps it or whatever, minuses it, no matter what cost it is, and it just feels terrible. The deck itself, like the engine, is super great, but if it just had like a card that had protection, it would be significantly better, in my opinion, and I probably would have still taken it. So then, after I kind of like, okay, as much as I want to go spearhead Yellow Cell, I mean, I bought Cell Crocs for God's sakes. Shouts out to the Cell Crocs, not Cell Cox.
That's
I was calling them the Cox all weekend, so. But so I was for sure thinking I was going to take Cell, And then, at the relatively 2 weeks before Nats came up, I decided maybe I should try something different. So one of the other options I had, which I had a lot of interest in, was White U7, which I think that deck is underrated, but it suffers from new deck problems where there isn't a lot of tools to it, so you have to play it multicolor. Well, originally I had it built as white yellow. You guys have probably seen my deck profile for that on the channel, and it is cheeky as hell, and it's cool, but through testing with that, I learned that white, much like yellow, is very energy hungry, and so it doesn't and also having to pitch one to play Nimbus, and it just didn't feel great. So then I changed it to white blue, which felt significantly better. I tested it with Kush. I tested it with you a little bit, John. I tested with some other people, and just having blue and being able to keep energy up through defense helped a lot, because I feel like white U7's biggest problem outside of energy hungry issues is that it has a weaker defensive side, because its offense is incredible.
Could do some pretty cheeky things.
The offense is, when you're swinging 55k base on a leader, it's pretty nice, or just in general. So I started playing with that, and then Kush had just came back to the game, and he was playing Gammas. He fell in love with Gammas because he really liked the original Gamma Twins, and so he started playing that, and he started caving my head in with that deck back to back to back to back. And a lot of the problems that I was having in those games was that if you don't see your 1-drops in white U7 immediately, you are immediately behind, and you end up having, especially with a format with a lot of more aggressive decks like Dr. Rinsu, Gammas for one, or Panzino, you end up just awakening on life, which isn't not exactly the worst thing, but it doesn't feel great. Typically you end up with a giant hand, but but because you are so behind, it's just hard to get set up in a way that feels nice. So in the testing, Kush was like, you need to play Gammas. This deck is sick, and he knows that I also like androids, but I'm a weird guy and I like to play off meta shit. So I just kind of avoided Gamma for its, I would say, decent run in the game before Dr. Rinsu came out. It's still a great deck. I think people still should play it. I think when Dr. Rinsu came out, it kind of overshadowed Gammas by a long margin. And so then I was like, well, maybe, I don't have and this was the Friday before, the last Friday before Nats, where he started putting this idea in my head. And I was like, there ain't no way I'm doing that. It's, a week out from Nats. I can't get a hold of a deck that fast. And so I happened to, buy some Broly's, because that was another part of the reason is A, I didn't have the deck, and B, I didn't have Broly's to play, because that deck runs Broly's, and every good blue deck should be running Broly's. And then about Saturday, Sunday is where I was like, okay, maybe if I can get a deck, I'll just take Gammas, because it probably has the higher percentage to be able to do well, which I still believe even after my run. But I could. So I found out, Ahmad, he's a local guy here. He had a whole Gamma deck ready to just give me. I bought it off of him, and I also got a couple of cards off of John here. Thank you, John, for allowing me to borrow those cards.
No problem.
But the problem is I did not play a single game with that deck until Thursday night.
It's honestly the perfect amount of testing.
The perfect amount. And it was about 30 minutes before deck submission was due, that 8 p.m. And I had this feeling maybe I should just go back to white U7. Maybe I'll have a better time or a better run with it, because I just played this deck once, and I kind of just did not feel good about it. But at a certain point, I was like, you know what? I'll just fucking run it. I don't want to sit there and deal with the Bandai TCG Plus app and switching shit around because everybody knows that app sucks. So then we actually took it the next day. And so round 1, finally, guys, sorry, I just rambled about the whole process, but we're finally getting into the rounds. But I think all that context matters here. So round 1, I lost. I played against Blue Bojack, against a guy named, I don't know his name, but his TCG name was Cough HM04. Sounds like he used to be a Pokemon player or something like that. He was playing Blue Bojack. I fucked up that match immediately because I had forgotten that Pilaf Shumai was a card because I think my anxiety with like, okay, lock in, I got 35 minutes to play this game, let's just try to do our best here. Like my confidence wasn't, high. And so I think he wins the dice roll, he goes first and he charges passes. And then I played a 1-drop and he literally negated plays Pilaf Shumai. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, Pilaf Shumai. And then I don't know why I just didn't think about the activate battle at all. But like I just comboed the 1-drop I played. And then he's like, okay, bottom deck that. And then right that second I was like, oh fuck yeah, I was supposed to over combo there. So I was immediately just so behind. Like I ended up, I like basically had to go even more neg in the hand to be able to play out Justice Impact the next turn, because what I was trying to do was the turn 1 Justice Impact, because Bojack is a slower deck and you have the time to be able to just a crack marker, set up Justice Impact, so your turn 2 could be a lot more powerful. You don't have to worry about playing it. Then you could just awaken and get going. That's what I was going for, but I literally just fucked up because I forgot Pilaf was a card. So, good games to him, I like it was one of those things where like you kind of felt like I should just scoop because this isn't gonna go well. And then round 2, like John said, we matched up. It was funny because the night before when I was testing with Gamma, we had brought up how we got paired up in the booster box regional, and I said, watch us get paired again tomorrow. I shit you not, we got paired again round 2.
The last 2 events you play me.
And and the thing was we didn't know we were paired until like I just ran straight to table 75 because I was like, oh, table 75. I didn't even look at who I was playing. I just wanted to get sat down and set up because I try to be efficient. I'm not wasting any time, because if anybody has ever played Masters, they know that 35 minutes is not a very long amount of time to play this game.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
so
Yeah.
I just want to be set up and ready to go. And then so I just see John coming over on my peripheral, so he's like, so table 75, huh? And I was like, you're fucking shitting me, dog. Like, here's John. I was like, I knew it. I
I saw the push notification, and then I opened it, and it just said the People's Champ, and I was like, oh, here we go.
And like, I think I do this every time we match up. It's like, do you just want to give me the win? Give me a pity win? He's like, no. I'm like, fair. And of course, I'm never actually expecting him to do that, but it was just funny. It's like, you might be my only win today if you did that. Great game. I mean, the real big thing was showing John his hubris. He turn 1 BMS'd me, and I turn 1 big broly'd him. And like, it was the funniest thing because we just both knew how ironic that was. This whole situation was just so ironic or so unexpected.
Especially after testing with Kush and doing it to him, and then seeing it, bite me back.
Absolutely.
It's a feels bad moment.
But really, I didn't feel bad about that game at all. Like, I was just having a good time playing with the boy, and it didn't necessarily feel like it was out of my hands until it was out of my hands, basically.
Until you're staring down like 3 big Broly swings.
I was like, you played out 2 Brolys on me. I was like, well, I don't think there's anything I could do about this, but we're going to see what happens. So, lost round 2. Round 3 is where I like really had a hard crash out. Like I about dropped because I was so pissed off at the end of this game. So round 3, I played up against Warp Jita against this guy. Again, I don't know his name. His name is New Faith 46 on Bandai TCG Plus. Real nice guy. Like, he felt so bad about how this went that he apologized to me like immediately, and it made it worse. Like, pro tip to people out there who just completely ass clap someone so hard that you could physically see the anger on their face. Don't apologize at all. You just did what your deck does. Like, you don't need to be sorry about it. It makes it worse when you apologize for it. Like, don't tell me you didn't mean to do what you just did. You wanted to win the game, didn't you? It's just, so he's playing against Warp Jita. I sided in the Zamasu counters. I think that was the only thing I sided it in because, well, it was red. And I was like, well, everything on this board is like 20k or less outside of Broly's, you know. So let's just stop red from doing red things. Didn't see one Zamasu, and I just couldn't play a single card on that field. He had played out the red-black Gogeta that minus... Like, I'm not even necessarily sure I knew what it did until, you know, I started dealing with it. Because I really had only ever played Warp Jita maybe, like, 4 times before this. Like, I played it against John once, way back in the day when it was new.
It's a killer card.
And then I played against my locals a couple of times when he was on it. And so, I mean, I was familiar with Warp Jita just based off of watching events, but, like, I didn't really know what the cards that well. And so, plays that red-black Gogeta out, and every card I tried to play got minus 20k, got wiped from the board because everything is usually 15k on average in gammas or 20k. So after the first time, I was like, well, maybe I'll bait out this one. So I baited out one, and then the first one got minus. I was like, okay, whatever. You know, I think it was a 17. And I had another one in my hand, so I was like, well, I could play out another one and try to get my draws going. And he Gohan counterplays it, minus 20k. I was like, motherfucker, I swear to God, you know, I wasn't dog cussing at my opponent or anything, but in my head, I'm just like, if this guy counterplays me one more fucking time, I'm going to lose it. And over the course of 3 turns, the guy minus 20, he like counterplayed and stopped me from playing a card like 8 times. Like, I could not get anything on the board. I think the only thing at one point in my head that I was like, I could play a Broly out and, you know, it would have survived, and I probably could have dealt with some things better. Like, I think probably getting a Broly out would have been my best option. I think at one point I Justice Impact to clear his board or something like that. But I think I just gave up and was just starting to do shit. I was experimenting because I had just resigned to the fact that I was going to lose that game. But I was going to make him beat me. And the poor guy, I think he was nervous because his hands were shaking the entire time, like from the beginning. Like, I was like, damn, dog, come on. Like, I'm nervous too, but calm down, because he was having a rough run too, because he was X2 at the time. So, you know, I was trying to keep a cool head, but like after the 8th time, I was like, I was so sick of this game that like I forgot to swing that 3rd turn with my leader to get a draw. I was just like, fuck it, go. You know, and then he won the game. Started apologizing to me. Again, nice guy. Just don't, for future reference for anybody who does that, stop doing that. It feels worse than just you saying good game and walking away. Round 4, I was at the bottomest of bottom tables. I was at the bottom table with a guy who we met. His name is James D on Bandai TCG Plus. He was the Cell guy. He was wearing the Cell jacket, the Cell Crocs. He was playing Ultimate Deck Cell.
We got a good photo with him.
Yes. He was a nice guy. Liked him to death. Loved his jacket. In fact, he sold me on Anime Ape clothes because, like, I was wanting to buy the sleeveless hoodie version of that jacket, and because I was planning on playing Cell and I wanted to be all Celled the hell out. Imagine if that would have happened. If I would have bought the hoodie, it'd have been really kind of cool, to be honest.
Agreed.
But I actually won this game. It came down to like I don't want to say the wire, but like it kind of started late because I thought I was going to get it like a no-show buy because I think he went to the bathroom and probably didn't see the push notification, or he was trying to pinch it off or something. I don't know, but he came running around the corner. He's like, table 95. He was breathing, trying to set up, and I was like, calm down, man. We're here. Catch your breath. We'll play. And it was a very weird game because he was playing the hand control version of it, which every event I play, I somehow deal with hand destruction. I think the universe knows I hate hand control.
It's just to keep you fresh.
This is why you don't play Mill anymore.
It is exactly why I don't. But he wasn't able to, like, other than doing things to make me lose cards in hand, he didn't draw like into anything that could get him a board going. I think at one point he had like 3 battle cards on the board, but I got rid of them all. And I was just kind of pinging him down. I think I was down to 3 life though, and I thought I was actually gonna lose because it was his turn. He was in like we were like turn fucking 5 or 6. I don't know. It was a hella long game, and I thought, okay, he's gonna have all this energy on the crackback. He's probably gonna kill me, But let's just see how it goes. And I think I take a damage to go down to 2, and I life top deck into a D magic, and I think he did it. He swung with his Bardock Unison, and what I didn't know is that it's not that I didn't know, it's that I forgot that DBRs can't attack. So he played out a Oolong, and he ripped a card from me, and I was down to 1 card in hand after that. But I took a life, drew into a Pilaf, not Pilaf, Jesus, Sparking D Magic. And then I Sparking D Magic and drew into the Android 14 Floodgate. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, he's got a body swing because he had the concept rare out. He had a double strike swing that I negated with the excuse me. It happened to be his last swing actually, because I thought he was going to swing with the Unison, and I forgot that card can't attack. So I negated it with D Magic, drew into the Floodgate thingy. I'm actually safe here because he was down to like a card in his hand. So I was like, there's no way he's gonna swing into this. I don't think he can at that point because of cost. But so then it got passed over to me. I drew into like a 18 super combo off of Leader Swing and off a turn card for turn, and basically took him down. I ripped his like last card from hand, took him down to 0, won the game. So GG's to him. So I felt immediately better. I was like, okay, I'm not going winless. Not again. I was like freaking out about doing that because I really didn't want to go winless. So I had a little bit of hope. I was like, okay, I'm X3. Maybe I can win out. Maybe I won't top or even get top 32 or whatever. But maybe, I could get into top 64. At that point, top 64 was my goal. And then round 5, I played up against a guy named Mitchell. That's his Bandai TCG name, so I'm sure his name is Mitchell. He was playing Green Chi-Chi. I won against that game. But that guy, I don't like to use the word free win because it sounds insulting. But the guy was just playing to play. He was a Fusion World player, so he had already had his invite for Fusion World. Like, he didn't even have a side deck. He didn't have a Z deck. Like, he was just playing Chi-Chi just to play.
Just playing for the spirit of the game.
Yeah, he just went, and so he was just doing his things, and like, I was just doing gamma shit, getting rid of his board, and I just beat him up. Good guy though. Like, he was a nice guy. He was just playing to play. Round 6, I went up against a guy on Bandai TCG Plus app. His name is King of New York. We actually ran into that guy when we were waiting for our Uber or Lyft or whatever. It was that guy.
Was that guy?
Up. Yeah, it was that guy.
Shout out to that dude.
I wish I would have got his name, but he's a super nice guy with the flyest kicks I ever seen.
Yeah, the shoes were fire.
He was playing BT20 Android 21, and I felt like I had a pretty good matchup against it because Android 21 is slower, so I kind of had to get Justice Impact outplay in my mind because he ended up winning the dice roll. And I actually taught him something about his own deck, and we'll get to that into that here in a second. But really, I ended up losing that game. What I think happened was I just didn't get aggressive enough because I often forget, like, because it's a multicolored deck, that a lot of its combo power isn't really comboable without paying 1, at least to my knowledge. because I think it was at a time where there weren't a lot of multicolored decks that were getting free like dual color combos because of your leader. You might correct me if I'm wrong on that, John, but regardless of which,
this is Nature of Evil 21.
yeah, the one from BT20 that rests your battle cards for energy and all that.
I think just the 8-drop has free combo.
Yeah, I think just
Right.
the 8-drop. I'm pretty sure like full power counter is a 110k.
Yeah.
And so I feel like at a certain point, because he had floodgated me with defending friends at one point, and I got him down to 2 life, and I feel like I could have probably pushed those last 2 life down, but I was afraid, like I didn't want to keep swinging in with this floodgate because his hand was actually larger than mine, and I was kind of considering all the cards, but he was also tapped out from his floodgate. So, I thought, well, he doesn't have any more negates, so I might just, push as much damage as I can while I can. And then I feel like I just kind of chickened out. I maybe respected defending friends too much. But regardless, but then I actually taught him something about his own deck because he played the 4-drop Android 21 from the Z deck, the one that sucks up cards. And what he didn't realize is that card ramps his leader, his energy. And
it's like the best part about the card.
Yeah, he like forgot entirely because he did. I don't even think he knew because he did the effect and everything. I was like, oh, and are you gonna ramp up? And he goes, oh no, this isn't that card. The 2-drop got banned. And I was like, no, that card ramps you. And he goes, are you serious? And he read it, and he goes, I haven't been doing that this entire tournament. Like he just didn't know. And he said, I always felt like I was an energy behind, but I couldn't figure out why. And so lo and behold, I helped the guy learn something about his deck. And granted, it probably hurt me in the end, but I would rather win knowing that he did the best he could. He did everything he should have.
And it's nice to know that even at nationals levels events, Dragon Ball players still cannot read.
Factual. So super nice guy. I think I could have won that game. I think that was the one of the games that I truly threw, and it was also like that part of the event where I felt like I was starting to get the hang of gammas because I had the first 3 rounds, first 4 rounds to kind of dick around and figure the deck out. I'm not gonna say I was an expert at it because I ended up, I lost all the rest of the rounds, but I felt better with it at that point. So round 7, I played up against Granth. Don't know his name again. That's his Bandai TCG Plus name. He was playing Blue Bojack. I felt better about this matchup because I remembered, oh yeah, Pilaf Shumai's a thing. And really, I feel like I could have won this match, but I didn't draw into enough aggression. Like I held this guy off for, I want to say, a solid 4 turns just based off of East Kai and Koitsukai. Like this was the only game in my entire life that I actually used Koitsukai for its effect. Like not because I never played Koitsukai. It's just that it was the first game ever that I had the opportunity to use it. So it was kind of nice to see the effects of Koitsukai. But I think really I played it well. I just couldn't get enough aggression going, and then eventually I ran out of resources, I guess, to be able to push damage in, and he was just eventually able to overwhelm me to even after Justice impacting him to clear his board. So good games to him. And then round 8 was funny, and because at that point I was kind of checked out, because at round 7, like Simon was talking about, all of us were kind of wanting to be done, and we were hoping that we were going to be done. It just kind of depended on how the undefeateds went. And so I'm sitting down, and I get paired up against Bobby from DMG, and the first thing he says when he sits down is, I really don't want to do this. And I said, well, you could just give me the win. Mostly kidding, but I was like, if you don't want to do it, I'll take the W. It happens. He wasn't having a good event. Let's put it that way. He was playing Kefla. I think he was one of the 7 guys on DMG playing Kefla. And this game didn't really happen because we started to play and we get through first, his turn 1, and we get to my turn, and I'm kind of distracted because I also sat next to Jamal from DMG next to me, and we were all just kind of talking about shit. And so I played my one-drop searcher, Dr. Giro, and I ended up tearing one of my sleeves when I was shuffling. And because I really don't know how it happened. I just know I got distracted talking, and the deck shifted weird in my hands, and as I was mass shuffling, all I hear is this tear of a sleeve, and I go, no problem, I got an extra sleeve. I'm in the middle of shuffling anyway. It happened to be the one dimension magic that isn't fancy that I had in my deck, so I was like, oh, it was a card that didn't matter anyway. So I sleeved it up real quick, and then after but during putting the deck down while I was shuffling, I had and grabbing a sleeve, I didn't realize it. I sat the deck on top of my hand, and
oh no!
At that point, I was so checked out of the game. I was like, you know what, man? Fuck it, you can just have the win because I'm not gonna try to navigate this because we probably could have figured it out because it was just going to be the top or the bottom 5 of the cards, I believe, because I think you play one drop charge so that you're -2, and so it should be the bottom 5 of that stack. But I was so flustered at that point, just from A, embarrassment, and B, trying to be in a hurry to get my deck figured out with the card tear and just sitting it down on there. I was like, never mind. Clearly, I wasn't supposed to play this game, today. So I was like, Bobby, you could have it. And he was like, and, good on him. He was more than willing to figure it out and play it out. He's like, we could still play it out. And I was like, no, I'm good. Just take the W, dog. I'm done. So really, it was just I fucking tore my sleeve, fucked up my shuffling situation, sat on cards on my hand. My brain was all fucked up. I said, peace, have a good one.
What a round.
What a round.
What a round.
And we just kind of sat there and bullshitted. It was a good time. It was just clearly the signs were there. You're done for the day, dog. You're done. I feel though, he probably would have beat me because Kefla did really well this event. Even though he was having a bad run, Kefla did really well. And honestly, I hadn't played against it once. And so maybe I think what I would have done in that matchup was just push face really hard. That's the only thing I can think of.
I think I have to give a shout out to Gidim because I think I played against him once while he was playing Kefla to kind of understand what the deck did. And even though he was playing it a little bit differently than what these lists are, it still kind of gave me that avenue to figure out okay, they play a card for free. They're trying to do their setup and then play the 5-drop Kefla. I bought both Keflas that I played against. I completely forgot the side Black Mass Sand against because I only had it as a 1-of in my side, and I just chose other cards over it. But I think Black Mass Sand probably would have been the better choice.
Yeah, I feel based off of what I saw, especially in the top cut, Black Mass Sand was definitely a card to play against Kefla, except when you're poor Bailey, who plays 3 of them and they all 3 get Broly'd.
Yeah.
That was so funny, but I felt so bad because it just became the theme of the event for me was the big Broly meme, because Bailey turn 1 on Panzino plays out Black Mass Sand because they mained that card, and plays out the first one. Putrilla plays out the Broly, and he bottom next it, and then Bailey's next turn, he just plays 2 more of them out. He just double BMS'd Petrillo, and I'm oh fuck, this is gonna suck. And then he passes it back over to Petrillo after doing the swings he did, or I don't even know if he swung outside of his leader. Then Petrillo draws into another Broly. so those BMSs did absolutely nothing, but it was the funniest thing. And even Bailey, I saw on camera, was laughing his ass off because I was of course, Broly's a busted card. Who would have known? So, how do you guys feel, just overall, how the event was ran? I feel like it was done pretty well. PlayCG usually gets a lot of flack because in the past they've had issues, but I think this is probably one of the best, if not the best event that I've participated in ran by them.
I think it went pretty smoothly. I don't think we really had like any issues as far as the event went. Like rounds were, right on time. They kind of moved everything along pretty well. I don't think we really had any like big issues with people being in time. I just think it went pretty smooth. Even in the next day for like Top Cut, I think that went by pretty smooth too.
I think the only thing I can really say against it is I wish that they had the concession stand open. Well, we were there on Thursday.
Yeah, that sucked.
Because like you either have to do that or you have to have a lunch break. I'm sorry.
I think them not letting us bring food and drink in on Friday, even though the concession wasn't open, was like the worst part of it.
It just kind of doubled down it. But like, for the most part, how much of that is that actually Play TCG's fault versus the venue's fault? For the most part, what was in their control was ran very well. It was a very smooth event. Maybe like make it so I don't have to run halfway across the venue to get to the tables, but
right.
It's like that's not in Play TCG's hands.
Surprisingly, like a thing that I think people tend to underappreciate was how well spaced out the tables were. When we were in Dallas for Bandai Card Fest, there was like 3 feet of space in between the tables. So like you were like legitimately back to back with people, and it sucked. People always bring those big ass military sized backpacks because they bring all their trade binders, they bring everything with them, and the amount of times I got hit in the back of the head with a backpack was genuinely infuriating. These tables this time were very nicely spaced. It never felt cramped. It was really nicely and well done.
Yeah, and the chairs were like really, really nice too.
Yeah, they were actually like cushiony. Granted, by the end of the tournament, they kind of started making my ass hurt, but
there's not a chair on Earth that wouldn't have done that.
Right, you've been sitting down for 6 hours.
Unless you have a secret lab chair.
I don't, and I wouldn't mind feeling one.
It's nice. But anyway, I think overall the event ran very smooth. The fact that Bandai also started doing reveals for set 29 on Thursday night, a really nice way that they started doing it with the videos to kind of explain it. Obviously you're gonna have people that are like passionate about the game, and maybe some that don't really like play it but are kind of there for like the spirit of it between like the two commentators on that video. But overall I do like how they set it up, and I know that I think going forward that's what they're going to continue doing for like the reveals themselves. I know they also did some reveals on Friday for like the Krillin and the Cooler, showing off like the SLRs of them as well. But then it just kind of went cold Saturday, Sunday, and I think even today nothing was revealed as of recording.
Yeah, I think they're doing it once a week, which is fine, I guess. But I feel like once they get through like the leaders, like they will, and like a little bit of like the support cards for them, they'll probably start revealing in like mass, because they're not gonna do it for all the commons. Like once they get through the leaders, probably the SRs, SPRs, and probably the concept rares and the secrets, I feel like they'll start like mass revealing, because we are 3 weeks out from the set releasing, so they're gonna have to start revealing soon.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll keep all the comments a surprise.
I say maybe they might just keep it the way it is and then just drop it, and then we kind of figure it out for the rest of it. I mean, you'll have like pre-releases, I think, or pre-release events, and then the release of the set. It's really honestly crazy to think that it's only just about 3 weeks out.
Honestly, if they didn't do any like reveals outside of like maybe leader cards, I would kind of love that, because
it would make me think of the 90s all over again, where like information is so scarce.
And you kind of get to discover the cards as they go. And I think it makes like the metas a little bit more longer lasting because people will have to take a little bit more time to figure it out.
So
Yes,
I think
because the BT29 meta is going to be very long.
I think the only issue with that is the fact that the delay on the set between this set and then set 30 going into like Worlds is so short that it's going to be one of those sets that I don't think is going to get explored, very very well. And then you're already going to have another set out on top of it. It does lead me to think that with this set coming out, depending on what if any bans and limits that they decide to make, that they might not do any when it comes to set 30, because there probably won't be enough of a data to collect really either.
Especially because is there actually any events that are going to be happening in the BT29 meta?
I think the only event will be Vegas for Card Fest.
Yes, it'll be Card Fest, and then
maybe
Battle
Master
Hour.
Cups or something.
Maybe.
Well, no, because Battle Hour is part of Worlds, so
right.
That'll be set 30 already.
Yeah.
So
to my understanding, it's gonna be Bandai Card Fest in Vegas, and then like as far as in-person events go, Bandai Card Fest in Vegas, and then Battle Hour for Worlds.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any online events revealed yet.
I don't think we'll have many unless they do it at the start, but I believe they'd probably dedicate Battle Hour again to have like maybe the first regional. But if they do, then like March is going to be very scarce in terms of like play, especially from now until like April. That seems very desolate in terms of getting the season going. Whereas like most of the time I think they've started in March. They give us that kind of like 3 months as a lull. So in that time, maybe people will be seeing what's nice in this format or this upcoming set. I'm genuinely excited to try all of the stuff that was revealed: White Baby, Goku, Black, just to see more cards from each of those, and having black white as a color is nice too.
They're doing a really good job trying to catch up White. Shouts out for Bandai for cucking me one more time with anti-mill support. We legitimately the night that they did that reveal, we were talking with Simon and Andrew about just like Janemba Mill, how bad I want Janemba Mill support so bad. And we were looking at the blue concept rare because it was Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Janemba on the card. I was like, what if it's like a floodgate, or like a counterplay or something that Janemba Mill can use? Because that deck really needs support, but they will never do it because it is such like the way the deck plays is if it gets good, it's borderline unfair. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, fuck you, Bandai.
And then within 10 minutes, we had a leader that said, "You don't get to mill me out."
Well, you'll get met out, you just don't lose. I'm like, fuck you. Everybody was roasting me for like an hour after that. And I was like, of course.
It's okay. That deck is either going to be gas or dead on arrival, so you may or may not have to worry.
Yeah, I think it just truly depends on the support that deck has, because it looks like it wants to be like a unison-based deck based off of the few cards we have seen.
Hey,
and those are usually hit or miss.
There's at least 2 more unisons for that deck. I'm guessing 3 more.
Because I think the last time we had a really good unison-based deck was Green Cooler.
Yep.
And
Green Cooler, and I think like the yellow Dripku.
Dripku comes
in
waves.
Did Dripku ever do anything though?
I think in the space that it did, it might have maybe been overshadowed by like
Trunks
Vegeta and Trunks.
Yeah.
Probably. I love that deck, but I don't think it did as much as I wish it could have.
Yeah.
So, and I'm really excited for the reels. And I just to get it out of the way, I want to take a moment to like shout out to the community. This event kind of reminded me that this community is a lot better than what most people give it credit for. I mean, we are our own group of toxic little assholes, but for the most part, like everybody was super chill all weekend. There was like 0 like real like incidences or
Yeah.
incidents?
It felt great, and everyone was like super, like down to earth in a sense, kind, like wanting to chat. Didn't really kind of brush you off in a sense.
It was interesting because like you clearly with me or with other people in the past and with certain individuals like that online everybody doesn't like, but and that may still have been true in person, but it didn't come up. Like it wasn't like people being shitty. There wasn't there was no actual I was for sure betting on one like real cheating allegation. I know that there was like the thing with Ritzy's sleeves, but I mean, that's kind of wishy-washy in my opinion.
Let's call it a scare, not an allegation.
Yeah, it's more like a scare. They made him change his sleeves. Like, what? I mean, like, not great, but also whatever,
Yeah, and I think as far as the community as a whole, it just like seeing. Yeah, again, how it all came together and how smooth everything ran. And I think even in the sense that, like, you dropped your playmat and it actually got brought up to the event. And I think while recording this, I was reading through that, like, Nick lost his deck and, like, someone drove to the hotel and returned it to him. Like, that stuff is, like, crazy to think that would to happen, and, like, someone would just, like, pocket all of that, like, value.
It's like the nightmare situations we'll hear about in other card games about, just people losing their decks, their bags, people eating cards. Like, we don't have that here.
That's I'm glad you bring that up because like that was one of the things I was thinking about as well. But like that's part of the we want Masters to grow and get bigger, but that's part of the reason why I actually do like that we're a smaller, chiller, smaller niche community, because this stuff wouldn't happen in a multi-thousand person like event. Like when I dropped my playmat and didn't realize it until I was sitting over at the Top Cut viewing area, I kind of wrote that playmat off. Like I was like, oh, someone probably found it and it's a dope mat, so why wouldn't they keep it? It was my mistake. I didn't have it properly secured in a way that it wouldn't fall out. So I just kind of accepted the L. And John here was like, well, basically. And then John here was like, well, go ask the front desk. And I was like, okay, I'll do that after, I watched this round. And John was playing in side events during this. And he happened to be a swell guy and go up there and ask for me. And it happened to be returned up there. And then after the event, like I went up there to check and they're like, oh yeah, your friend picked it up. And of course that was the most vague thing to tell me. So I was like, well, I have a lot of those here. So who was it? Can you describe them? And they were like, oh, we know who he is, but I can't think of his name. And then they immediately described his pink Bulma shirt and his cell crop. Green. Excuse me. There's a pink outfit Bulma from when she was like 16 on a green shirt. And then the Cell Crocs. The Cell Crocs is what sold it. I was like, oh, it's John. Because me and John were wearing matching Cell Crocs. Two of three.
You had
the third guy was just...
You had a 50-50 shot of it being John.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, I knew who it was, one way or another. And funnily enough, Chino took a picture of it, posted it in the Discord, said he was going to take it home before I went and checked myself. And I was like, well, I know he's not going to do that, but I don't think I would have been mad. I would have been like, what the fuck, Chino? Just send that back to me.
And then I played with it for my round, and then I lost.
I think maybe the mat's bad luck.
I think it is.
Maybe it's because I didn't play Yellow Cell.
Maybe it's just too perfect.
Yeah, I betrayed playing Yellow Cell, and the mat punished me for it.
Oh. You did play a deck with Cell in it, though, at the very least.
I did, but
it's not the same.
Is Cell even really Red Ribbon Army? I don't think so.
To a degree.
He's like the most... Like, if Cell is Red Ribbon Army, he's like that third cousin twice removed part of Red Ribbon Army.
Well, I mean,
he's just kind of...
he is from the future.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, with that being said, do you gentlemen have any other final thoughts about Nats this past weekend? Anything you want to reflect on before we close out?
I think it was a wonderful event. I wish I played Zamasu, but it was great meeting everybody, and I had a blast. Can't wait to do it again next year.
Yeah, I also had a great time, meeting all the people that I normally talk to in voice chat on here, and between Eternal Dragons and Hermit Style, and being able to meet some of those in person. That was good. And it's just it's nice to interact with the community. I think Play and Bandai did a really good job with the event. I didn't have really any downsides to it. I'd like to shout out to everyone that got top cut, everyone that played their hearts out, and everyone that maybe just missed it. They all played well and deserve all their accolades.
I absolutely agree with both those sentiments. Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to go to the next Nats. I'm excited to go to the next event I go to. Let's be real here. It's not until Nats. It's till the next event. If there doesn't happen to be another online event, guys, join the Discords. We run locals. You can still get games in. It doesn't have to be just waiting for a next event. There's technical events happening every week in Discords. We're trying to build communities. We're trying to make it bigger, trying to make it more active. I mean, this is the best card game that I personally play, and I think these guys would agree with that. Maybe not, but that being said, you guys should join up, get the practice in, get ready for the next event, and we're going to have another great season of Dragon Ball Super Masters. And without disclosing any information that and how I got it, we have a lot. We're being developed already into set 33. So this game isn't dead.
Nats.
We will have at least one more Nats, and I don't see this game dying anytime soon unless we give up on it ourselves. And we are too cult following of this game to quit now.
We're too stubborn.
Too stubborn.
Just remember, everybody, Goku wouldn't give up on this game. So neither should you.
I couldn't have said it better than myself.
So we just get to take it a year at a time.
Yep.
With that being said, thank you everybody for tuning in to yet another episode of the Champs Table. I want to thank again Simon and John for joining us tonight. If you enjoy this content, make sure to give us a like, comment, and subscribe down below, and make sure to join both the Discord communities, both Hermit Style and Eternal Dragon TCGs, and all the others that I could link you to personally if you join my Discord, get you set up. But with that being said, everyone have a nice one, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace. Hey everybody, this is the People Champ thanking you for watching this video. If you want to see content just like this, there should be a playlist attached at the end of this video. If not, check our channel out and see what else you like there. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe.